What is up, everybody? This is Will. Welcome back to another video. If you've been in the VEVE marketplace over the past few weeks or throughout 2021, you probably noticed this famous name, DannyBoyLIAC. DannyBoyLIAC is a legend in the community. He's a top VEVE trader, a top 10 VEVE whale with over 4,600 NFTs, 142 sets. Yeah, this guy is basically on every single major listings on VEVE. If you're curious about how he's able to trade so much, how he determines return on investment, how he determines when to take profit, and his trading strategy overall on VEVE, you are lucky, because I'm also a fan of DannyBoyLIAC, and I had the chance to interview him 2 weeks ago. He showed me so much. This guy is extremely smart, extremely knowledgeable, and he has so much experience. The reason why I'm so excited to share this video with you is because for many of us, we wait for our 10x, 20x opportunities before we take profit. But DannyBoyLIAC doesn't think that way, and his strategy is so unique that I've been fascinated with it for a long time, because I've always been curious how he's able to trade so much. So I spent the past 7 months trying to convince him to come on my channel and share everything. So I'm very excited to share them with you right now. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and most of all, subscribe now so that you don't miss out on actionable and valuable insights that will help you to make better decisions on VEVE. Let's get to it. I am going to be selfish and ask my favorite questions, which is, last year I saw your name DannyBoyLIAC on pretty much every single listing. Why were you buying and selling so much?
Well, the first reason is strictly economics, and that is in Australia with the gems, we pay actually about $1.15 here. So I had to try and cover off the expenses for not only the Apple fee, but the international charge. So to get in, I guess what I was trying to do was, well, first of all, I believed in the market. And then once I believed in it, I thought it could be something that, if you looked at it and monitored certain behaviors and, watched certain things, you could make money out of it. And I mean, at the time, people were making money. Everybody was making money out of it, particularly leading up to the January bull run. I mean, you could throw a dart at the board and, hit a profit. So, but there is a strategy, and look, I've made as many mistakes as anyone, trust me. One in particular, I'd bought Rizzo's cheap and had sold them too cheaply. So I'd gone out too early in the market. But, a lot of the other ones where, I don't know, for some reason people like to criticize or, look at what I'm doing and find a problem in it. But, over time, you can look back at it and say, well, that was actually the right time to get out. I've always been told, and, my dad used to be an investor, and he always said, you'll never find the top. Don't expect to find the top of the market. Just be happy if you can get out and make money, give you more ammunition to repeat what you've just done. But there is a patience in needing to stack the gems, which I really lack, and I'm very annoyed at myself for that. And that is the true way to get ahead in VEVE, if you have that patience and that discipline.
But I noticed that you were flipping a lot back in throughout 2021. So before the January 2022 bull run, how did you time it? What was your thought process behind buying and selling and that kind of stuff?
Okay, well, I mean, at the time, it was the Only the Clowns web page was, still just an idea and was in its, early stages. But what I'd done, and this is what I'd recommend to anybody who wants to do more than just collect one or two things, is created an Excel for what I owned, so that I automatically knew what I paid for it. And then I was just setting realistic targets. If I could turn a net 30%, then let it go. And there were times where during those periods, sorry,
No
during
worries.
those periods where you could see things happening very, very quickly. And, you know, we're at a disadvantage here in Australia because a lot of what happens overnight. But also there was a period when I used to wake up about 7 o'clock, which must have been about like sort of getting near the end of the day in America. But when things would move, and they would move very quickly, you know, people were clearing out floors. And at times, if you could just try and grab something, there, it was the smart play. So knowing how much you spent for it, you could work out what you want for it. And if it went up and down, that's your best case scenario. If you get back in, you can recharge that gun and buy that same NFT and do that again. That's where you can actually really make money. If it just keeps going up and up and up, you go from the opportunity gets lost and gets moved over to somebody else, the person who purchased your NFT. So that's where you can actually live with the regret. You know, I've traded stocks as well, and the one thing I compare it to is like 1,000 paper cuts. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter where you buy or sell, the market's going to move and improve that position. You know, if you sell and it keeps going up, you're going to kick yourself for not holding on to it. Well, you shouldn't. You should reward yourself with, hey, I made 30% there.
So is 30% your benchmark to take profit?
It's a good question. Look, I think it would depend on the input cost. So like if you've got something small, you know, I always say Mermicorno for something small, but if you've got something like that and you've paid 20, 40 jams, I think double is what you're talking about, you know, because you're going to have to warrant recording that. And, you know, that takes time and effort. So the videos that you were talking about before, that's some of them that are in my stable, and there's not many of them. Look, there is the tax one, I think, is very, very important. And I think people have to work out what their government expects from them. And if you haven't created an Excel for your catalog of items, whether they're your previous activity or what you're holding on to, I strongly suggest everybody do it. It took me ages to do up my one, but you really need to know what you've done. You have to go through your transaction history. So if you bought something for 20 gems, it's not worth selling it for 26, you know what I mean, or 28 to clear the commissions and make 6 gems and have to spend so much of your time creating that entry, because that entry needs to be recorded. Now, I know a lot of people think that it doesn't, but it does. And I think from my understanding, and as always, do your own research, but in America, every single entry, regardless of its value, has to be recorded. In Australia, it's above $500, which is roughly 380 gems. But here, and this is another important reason why I've said this, the gem has to be stable. So for our tax department, that value is determined. So you have to equivalate that to the US cost. That gem has to be constant. And this is where, VEVE is going to get caught inside these requirements, because that gem has to always equal $1 US. Otherwise, the whole of the Australian, the rules for the Australian tax don't work out, because it says 500 Australian dollars. So what is that in gems if it's variable?
Yeah. So talking about tax, I was going to save that section for later on, but since you mentioned it, I think your most recent video is the video that everybody has to watch, because you talked about a really interesting point, which is the fact that usually when we think about taxes, we think of tax as the percentage of profit, right? But then now the VEVE situation is so interesting, and I have some notes here, so I'm just going to read from my notes because that'll be easier. You can buy an NFT off app for 2,000 US. Let's say that I pay you 2,000 USDT, and then you transfer a collectible, like the Todd Batman, right? For me, when
Yeah.
collectible transfer was still available. And let's say that Todd goes to 10K, like 10,000 gems, like it did at one point, it went to 14,000. And when I sell the Todd for 10,000 gems, hypothetically, let's just say that I can cash out $10,000 in profit. Then if I'm in a 25% tax bracket, I'm paying $2,500 in taxes, right? Because
Yeah.
my cost is zero, because on VV's system, because you transfer the Todd to me, a cost is
Correct.
zero, right?
Yes.
When in fact, if I were to factor in the original $2,000 of cost that I transfer to you off the app, then my profit would have been $8,000. Then I would be
Yeah.
paying $2,000 in tax instead of 2,500.
Yeah.
And you raise,
Anytime you transfer in, you're going to have to be able to
yeah.
prove that. So this is where I think people are going to get into areas they're not expecting.
That is it, you guys. I hope that the video have given you a little bit more perspective on how Neil times his trades, how he tracks everything on Excel, and that's how he determines his profit level, his return on investment, and those kind of things. If you are interested, please go check out the full interview in my channel. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and most of all, subscribe so that you don't miss out on actionable and valuable insights that will help you to make better decisions on VV. Thank you so much for being here, guys. I hope to see you again next time. Peace.